This is an appetizer. This is the appetizer. It is a fairly traditional French onion soup, but as with everything in this meal, everything has a small twist to it. You know, just a couple twists here and there. The bread is unique. It's an ancient grain bread. It also has scallions to top it, just to kind of drive the onion flavor home. It also is made from beef broth as well as chicken broth and beef consomme. It's also topped with fontina, which is a fairly traditional topper, flavored with thyme, bay leaf, and parsley. And also, instead of cognac, to finish it off, my favorite is to finish it with brandy. Please enjoy.
Anybody who watched the live stream last night knows that this is what I was looking forward to tonight. And it does not disappoint.
I never understand why people don't make sure there's a little bit of crunch to their quote-unquote crouton on top.
First of all, yes.
Feels like a necessity to me. Usually it's just soggy.
The bread has a very nice crunch along the outside. The onions are very well caramelized. Not a lot of bite to them at all, which I think is something that other judges will appreciate as well. They absorb the flavors of the broth very, very well. Very, very well. The scallions to garnish was a nice touch, especially with the green colored bowl. In fact, it's kind of funny because the inside, you have the white and the white for the fontina and the inside of the bowl, the brown rim and the brown onions, as well as the bread, and then the green outside with the green scallions. Plus the crouton or the bread, or however you want to say it. The middle part has really absorbed a lot of the soup in a good way, that it still has that. I think that people would find familiar with a French onion soup, but the bread has a little bit of, sogginess to it.
So the broth is really solid. It's got a wonderful beefy sweet flavor to it. Historically speaking, French onion soup is by far one of my least favorite soups. I'm not exactly going to say that this changes my opinion on it. I'm still not a big fan of it. It is very good for French onion soup, for what that's worth. The cheese is melted very well. It was very it was a very enjoyable topper to have it to it. As Blue was already talking about the details on the bread. The bread is a really nice way to top it all off. That crisp helps, and especially since that means that the top of it remains that crisp toasted bit, while the bottom of it that's actually in the broth soaks up the broth really nicely. It's also, in this particular bread, is a very kind of nutty, earthy flavor, which melds really well with the beef consomme and beef flavor that's in there. Not gonna say that I care much for the onions, but onions are always really difficult with me, and when we have an entire bowl of basically
onions and juice.
Onions and juice. I like the broth quite a bit, but I'm not really digging the onions too much. One thing I did notice is it does start to taste a little bit better the more you have of it. But at least mine, I'm still getting a lot of that texture with onions that I don't care too much for.
Make sure you get a good bite of the fontina with the onions, because the nuttiness of the fontina with the sweetness of the onions, it's almost like a Hershey's with almonds bar. It's really good.
I also made sure to give both of you extra fontina cheese. I figured it might.
So I think, sure. So,
And beef broth.
And beef broth. I think we picked a good set of ingredients to really give the chefs a challenge, but not make it too esoteric or difficult. We're not going to be seeing any smelt.
Yeah. Lutefisk.
No durian fruit. These all be.
If there's a tie, we'll make it something really interesting like that.
All right, this is actually one of my new creations that I've come up with over the past year or so. It is a menudo burger. I usually do it with cheddar and chipotle sauce, and chipotle, but this time I dialed it back a little bit on the heat because I felt it would overpower the onion. So it is on a toasted onion bun, and there is onion throughout. Yes, that is my that is a shallot and rosemary mustard, spicy brown mustard. I made sure to allow the spiciness to be eased back a little bit with the rosemary, which actually made the flavors come out a bit more. And that is a roasted sun-dried tomato and scallion aioli with a little bit of just a little bit of cream cheese to make it a little bit more robust. I apologize, judges. I had anticipated to have a slaw on top of that, but it just never really quite came to fruition. I lost track of time, I suppose, and I ran out.
Not quite as bad as if you'd have forgotten the onion.
No, that is onion, and more onion.
Alexa,
Your want.
stop. That would be your wine timer.
I admit that I kind of miss if there's not the slaw in there to kind of cool things down a bit. I think that would have really helped. But I mean, overall.
Getting the glasses.
So, oh, very good. I like the little bit of char on the bun there. A lot of onion flavor throughout, but everything ties together nicely. So it's not like, oh, it's like, oh my god, onion. No, the bun ties together with the shallot mustard, with the tomato and shallot aioli, which I find fun to use that. In the context of a burger, the tomato condiment is usually classified as ketchup, but for this we have a sun-dried tomato aioli with shallots. So, and you know what? It's just 9 million times better than ketchup anyway.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Actually, this is basically everything good about a burger.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much that that I would want to change about it.
Mm-mm.
I'd be curious how it would have gone with a little bit of cheese.
Maybe some of the fontina.
I thought the cream cheese in the aioli would help. Also, this was meant to go throughout the entire meal, but I'm a stickler. I wanted it to be at least gently chilled.
Okay.
So I made sure that that it is gently chilled. I apologize you did not have it for your appetizer. That is a sweet, sweet white wine. It was meant to be for the entire meal from appetizer to dessert. Being a white wine and also a sweet white wine, it is meant to accompany the sweet onions that are used throughout the entire meal.
You know, it's all some of the soup here. I've got to see how it pairs with the wine as well.
The wine does a good job of actually bringing a lot of the flavors of the menudo burger out a little bit more.
Yes, it does. It does really well with the soup too. If you want to go ahead and try that again with the soup, sure.
I very much apologize, but I just thought that it being at least gently chilled was important.
Well, the slight chill does help take down the sort of the spiciness of the burger as well. Everything just pairs really well together.
I do very much apologize that you didn't get my slaw, though. If it helps at all, it really was just going to be some Napa cabbage and radicchio with a pinch of... Oh, also, I forgot to mention, there were leeks in the... that was in the menudo. That's not my fault, I swear to God. There was also leeks in your soup, which is another difference. Hard to keep these dishes all very traditional, yet to ring of definite originality. Yeah, my menudo burger's pretty good.
Yes.
It's the same seasonings you would put into a bowl of menudo soup. Usually it has chipotle, like I said, but I didn't want it to be too spicy for this because I thought it would definitely overpower the onion.
So, but this is kind of almost like a. Yesterday we were in Italy, and so I think today we're visiting a couple other different countries here with French onion soup.
Which is French.
Usually French. Menudo is mostly Spanish, isn't it?
Spanish.
So
they make it in Mexico, but it is mostly Spanish.
So yesterday was Italy, a lot of Italy, and today we have France, Spain,
a lot of Europe.
A lot of Europe.
That's a good burger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was very good. I would, like I said, I would have liked to have seen how it might have gone with definitely the cream cheese that you were mentioning. Definitely is on the palate there. Sun-dried tomato is a really strong flavor though, so it ended up kind of being more of a very creamy sun-dried tomato spread. Which is good in this instance because it reminds you of ketchup in the way that Blue was talking about. But the cheese portion of it kind of just mellows out into the sun-dried tomato.
I was hoping it would help mellow out the sun-dried tomato, but it sounds like it did it the other way around.
It's perfectly fine. It doesn't do anything bad at all. It was very enjoyable. It's just like I said, I might have liked to have seen actually having a slice of cheese or some other kind of cheese on there.
Maybe the Fontina to tie it with the soup. Could have been good.
Perhaps some of the Fontina. That way you could have potentially a recurring ingredient through all 3 dishes.
But then Fontina not traditionally Spanish either, so
That's fine. There's plenty of trade.
Next time I'll think about at least maybe putting some queso fresco, because there's actually cheddar cheese in the burgers.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that between that and the cream cheese,
to hold the burger together,
which was necessary.
Yeah.
I used a higher grade of
We need some kind of fat to hold it together.
I used a higher grade of meat, because usually people use like 70-30. I used 80-20, and I needed that cheese, or else it wouldn't have held together well enough.
Yeah.
I even considered using an egg, but I thought it would have started to come across too much like a meatloaf.
Yeah, when you add too much of the actual protein strands in there, it just stops being a good burger. And that's, nothing against the meat at all. It's just 70-30 works really well for burgers. But if you don't cook it right, it's way too greasy. I think with burgers that in 80, maybe in 85, those work really well as long as you include a bonding agent such as cheese. And, that's kind of a natural mixture into your average burger that, works really well. It's already a complementary flavor, and you get to mix it in there and get 2 effects out of it.
These were great, though, because, it's like they held together. They weren't soppy. They didn't...
Yeah, other than a little piece of thing that came out of the menudo there, look what's on my plate.
I am extremely sorry for that. The menudo that I use, it's very rustic, and yeah.
Now, did you actually put any of that thyme in here?
No.
Okay. So that probably would have come from there.
The only actual seasoning I put in was the menudo, so that there's nothing else it could have.
I was wondering because that could have
sorry.
potentially been one of the strands of thyme that you and I were collecting earlier in the kitchen. But point is, that's what's on my plate. There's I can count 5 crumbs, and the one piece of the menudo that just didn't play nice. There's
A lot of people
no drippage.
Yeah.
There's no mess. There's no flaked off pieces of burger. Everything's stuck together very well. It was cooked
Isn't it like a really messy, juicy burger? I'm not particularly one of those people. I I get kind of antsy if my hands are
Says the wingman.
Hey now.
Hey.
The wings are different because the wings are a sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what usually comes after that.
Well, that's what juice is coming out of the burger is sauce.
The true wing master can make it so that only these fingers are the ones affected by the sauce, and just a little bit at the end.
And everything around your face area.
Well, that's what the wet wipes are for.
See, the true wingmaster can eat his wings
with a fork. Boneless.
Exactly. I can eat a bone-in wing with a fork. It just is complicated.
Yeah, but the bone-in wings, they just taste better.
Oh,
you say. I don't
necessarily. It accomplishes some sort
You like dry foods,
I do.
It's like you don't like your food as much if it doesn't choke you.
Yeah. I think having wings off of the bone, and this might be the carnivore in me speaking. Sorry, any vegan viewers. But I feel like it has some sort of
that visceral feel.
Yeah,
consuming
it's like
an animal.
It's like fries at the bottom of a bag. You feel better. Oops, excuse me. Is it good?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, we're good. We're back. You feel kind of good about the accomplishment of being able to take apart the wing
and tearing apart
the wing
arm.
Come on now.
Gussy this
we don't need to trigger the vegans.
Let's not goosey this.
Well,
Sorry.
no, it's. I can understand the concept of that as
Sometimes there are just things that feel, visceral. That's that idea of getting directly involved in something.
And it appeals certain people. It appeals to a more primal sense, and that can be enjoyable. Some people don't like that sort of feeling, and it's better for them to have different options.
I mean, there's a difference between a hamburger, like this, and a sloppy Joe.
Sure.
Some people have a preference towards something that's, that makes a lot of mess, has a lot of juice dripping from it, kind of gives you this very luxurious feel while you're eating it that you get from something that's juicy.
Yeah.
Other people, they find that distracting. They find it takes away from the experience of eating. So it just kind of depends on, and even an individual like myself, I go both ways. Like, I like sloppy joes. I don't mind sloppy burgers.
Yeah.
But when it comes to things like wings and barbecue, so then I'm like, it's just not worth the effort for me to make the mess that it makes. And it's more a thing of just how much clings to you. It's not about the mess that it makes like it was with a burger. A burger doesn't cling, but everything in barbecue, especially, and also in wings, sticks to you. You get it on your hands, and you can't just go and run off to the bathroom and rinse your hands off. Usually you still have an oily feeling and everything on your
that's true.
afterwards, and it drives me nuts for a while, especially when it's sticky. So this ends up being a thing where I'm like, well, I enjoy bone-in wings just fine, but boneless wings are close enough for me that I'm perfectly fine with them, and I don't have to deal with having sticky fingers for the next 3 hours.
True.
Literally off that, or I'm not going to have any for dessert.
So since I did mention portions with the soup, I also want to talk about portions with the burger. Again, I didn't feel like it was too much. You go to a burger joint, and man, can they load those things with toppings. You come away with like a big thick patty of meat, and then it's got fried onions and tomatoes and lettuce and pickles and three kinds of cheese and all kinds of stuff. You take 1 or 2 bites, you're just like, oh my goodness, this is too much, I'm done. But with this, the soup was a really good starter. It left me wanting more, but it made me ready for the entree. And then with the burger was enough that I don't feel too full, but I feel content enough that once dessert gets here, I'll be nice and polished off. I know that's what you kind of want. The healthy way to eat. You can eat anything you want, but it's all about portion control. And I think this has been a really good exercise in portion control as well. Because like I said, I'll be ready for dessert, and then probably be good for the rest of the night. I won't need anything else to eat. And I can just relax, enjoy the rest of my night, and look forward to the third round.
Friday?
Is it Friday? Friday.
Yeah,
Friday.
I think that's when Jimuzu
because
is
that's
off
when
next.
Jimuzu is off. Oh yeah, we're ready. We are ready for dessert.
We're chatting it up over here.
That will be the finale of our evening, and I'm gonna need some more wine.
Yeah. Well, if you're getting wine, I'm able to finish mine.
Yeah, there you go. No sense in whining about it.
Well, there could have been cheese on the burger, but we did have wine with it, so I guess that's okay. There's that.
And there was cheese in the soup, so cheese and wine.
Are you guys cooking something back there? I smell smoke is why I'm asking.
Oh no! That's one of the it's the burger for one of the other crew members.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was just toasting his
Okay.
his bread.
You're fine. I'm just making sure
I'm
that.
getting ready to bring out your desserts now.
Okay.
So many interesting things happen on a live stream. we didn't need a fire. So yeah.
Oh, we'll wait for that dessert to come out.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the burger was just about the right size, fairly standard in-house size burger. I don't really feel like we needed a pub size
Oh
burger.
no.
Or with one of the local places here, um, they make the pub size burger and they stack the three of them together.
Oh yeah.
And price wise, it's really good as far as that. But when you actually consider the absurdity of having three stacked burgers on top of each other brought out with you, you're kind of like,
And then it also has lettuce and tomato and a big plate of fries
on
and
each one.
on each one.
To the point that I remember we thought when we got that they do have an eating challenge there, and we thought that when we got that 3-stack burger that it was actually another eating challenge.
It
and
wasn't.
I remember being a little disappointed after. I was like, I'm gonna eat this whole thing. I could get through this, and I ate the whole thing, and I'm like, all right, where's my stuff? Oh, there isn't any stuff for this one. Oh.
Yeah.
I believe,
But,
I believe actually she did the same thing.
Yeah, no, it was kind of funny. I think we all ended up getting this 3-stack burger thing and looking at it, and one of us, I don't remember who it was, ended up actually taking the darn thing home and putting it on 2 or 3 more things of bread, and we just all had another burger later on.
So, but yeah, there's definitely a propensity, and it's really the advent of the sports bar.
Oh yeah.
Leads to that. These oversized burgers that are going on everywhere, and especially when it starts to come to the toppings, going to your local Five Guys and just look at the available toppings.
Oh yeah.
And just contemplate what it would actually be to load all those things on there, and realize that you'd have this much burger and this much topping.
You're talking about a Scooby-Doo sandwich now.
Exactly. They can definitely reach that point sometimes.
Oh yeah.
It can be a little absurd.
Oh no! When I go and get sandwiches made, no matter where I go, I load them up. I bring it to I try to break the bun, or tortilla, as it were, depending on the place.
I mean, as long as it suits it, I have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm fairly difficult on that because I'm like, tomato, no. Onion, no. And so those are the 2 biggest ones that you see on things.
Yeah.
We've had this discussion before about how, like, I'm one of the most frustrating people to order pizza with. Because almost everything that they put on a pizza is something I don't like.
Right.
Because I don't really like peppers. I don't like mushrooms at all. I don't like onions. I don't like, what else do they put on there normally? Olives.
Olives. Yeah. Versus, Crash likes a veggie pizza a lot, so I mean half of those toppings kind of go out because
exactly.
Veggie's got the peppers, the onions, the olives, mushrooms. I like mushrooms. Mushrooms, spinach, and garlic is one of my favorite pizzas. I know that sounds kind of weird, just about it. Like, man, it's good.
Spinach is good as long as it's fresh spinach, not canned.
Yes.
That makes a big difference.
Yes. Don't ever use canned spinach on a pizza. That you won't have a good time.
Don't use canned spinach for anything unless you're Popeye, because that stuff is just terrible. It's all shredded up.
Stuck in water and salt.
Yep. Just sits in its own brine until you open it up 2 years later because no one ever uses it frequently enough. And then, you literally are just slapping down this wet pile of...
It's absorbed a whole bunch of water.
Yep. Salty water at that.
All right, here is dessert.
Okay.
Look at that.
Would either of you like a topper for your wine?
Yes, please.
Please, both of us would. Thank you. All right, so what have you got here?
This is, well, with dessert, I'll admit I was a bit more hesitant than my previous competitor. So I went the route of looking for a very mild onion. So what is the onion that is in this is a chive and scallion combination.
Okay.
With topping is a strawberry balsamic vinegar, which I personally reduced myself. Reduced with honey as well. and then table cream in lieu of anything like icing, because I thought it's a much softer sweetness, so I thought it would be much more palatable with the sweetness that the strawberry and balsamic vinegar give.
That strawberry,
man.
that strawberry balsamic is. If I didn't know better, I'd actually, you know what, the strawberry and balsamic together ends up vaguely tasting of raspberry.
I hope that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I very much enjoy raspberries, but it gives it kind of this, I guess the point I'm trying to get is it gives it a very kind of acrid, pungent kind of kick to it, which, you know, I haven't really tried any of this yet to say how that works, but I'm assuming that's the...
I'm a firm believer that every single meal should have at least a small kick of acid. And that sounds a lot worse than how I mean it, but
Well, and then the cream kind of melted out. So that's like a what? That's a it's cream cheese again?
no, that's actually a Mexican crema. It's a table cream. It's actually a very, very you know, in Mexico they literally kind of keep that on their tables, and they add it to whatever they want to eat it with.
All right.
Sometimes it gets used in things like macaroni and cheese. It gets dipped into strawberries instead of whipped cream. It's sweet, but it's not overpoweringly so.
Oh, not at all. I actually got very little sweetness from it, and I'm fortunate that I tried that as the first thing on there, because the strawberry mixture would definitely...
I added absolutely no sugar to any of the toppings. The closest thing to sugar I added to the toppings is honey, and there's no extra additive sweetness added to the honey. The honey that I used, that's organic clover honey.
Oh. Unfortunately, the wine does not pair that well with the dessert. They a bit of an offsetting flavor.
Not getting any more sweetness from the wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just kind of the
The
tartness.
vinegar that's in there, the balsamic,
It just completely overpowers the
obliterates
wine.
it.
Pretty much, if I wanted to keep the wine going throughout the dessert, I probably shouldn't have used balsamic vinegar then in the topping. I apologize.
No. It's fine. This was really meant to go with the entree primarily.
No, the appetizer and the entree, because that's the exact same one I used in the appetizer. It's where my mindset was. I honestly hadn't thought about it for the dessert, to be perfectly honest.
I mean,
It's actually a pudding loaf cake. I keep calling it a pound cake, but I ended up altering the recipe because I thought it would just do better all the way around, you know, the way it is, and it's actually more of a pudding cake. Which is why one of the reasons why I paired it with the table cream, because pudding cake is a little sweeter, and it's a little denser. So, like with a pound cake, you can almost just eat a piece of pound cake on its own. You can almost turn it into a toast and eat for breakfast as you're going out the door. A pudding cake is much more decadent.
well, I think that the dessert in itself, all the flavors in the dessert go well together, really well together.
Absolutely.
You know, the sweetness of the cake complements the tartness of the berries and the balsamic, and then the crema calms it all back down again. They are three really good friends, and
And the fourth wheel is
the fourth
the
wheel
wine.
is the wine. Brian the wine.
Everybody's got a Brian.
It's got that honey.
So, I think for me, based strictly upon the actual flavor profile of the component parts. I think you could have been a lot more liberal with the crema. It's really like it really doesn't have basically anything to it. This is not a bad thing. Like I said, it works really well with the other parts of it. I just may have liked to have seen a little bit more, maybe a side place to dip some in or something like that. And you could honestly, like, it certainly wouldn't be good for presentation, but you could just douse it in that and it wouldn't make any difference at all because it really doesn't have any real, honestly, like, it's not a bad thing, but it doesn't really have any flavor to it at all. So
it's just like a very gently sweetened condensed milk almost.
Yeah.
Because if you were to use regular condensed milk, it's really sweet. Whereas that's, more like condensed cream that just has a very gentle sweetness added. It's kind of what I was going for because I didn't want the strawberry balsamic to be overpoweringly sweet. Because I also used honey to help, bring it along into the syrup that it now is. And I was
definitely, the whole package of, the three component parts there, they work very, very well together.
There's also a hint of rosemary in the cake itself, too.
You definitely miss when the crema isn't on there. It's noticeable when it isn't on there because it's much more pleasant with the crema there. So I just might have liked to have seen a little bit more of that because and it was the presentation of it was very, very nice the way that it was put on there and had that one drip on each side. Yeah. That was definitely very good. I just might have liked to have seen a little bit more of it. That's not a complaint, just an observation. It's fantastic, honestly.
Boy, that vinegar really activates the tannins in the wine. I know it's a white wine. There's hardly any tannins in it. It's there.
I'm again sorry, Judge.
Oh no, it's interesting. It's really interesting. I think people should take note of how this wine, same exact wine, fit perfectly with the other two dishes. And
it really does not go well with the dessert.
So.
I think it's particular. This is Moscato, right?
Yes, it's a sweet Moscato wine. So a Moscato type. It's not. I don't think it's actually
a dessert wine that doesn't go with dessert.
Hashtag not sponsored. Sutter Home. Yes, it is a California Moscato, in fact, which makes it fairly local for us here in Washington. Fairly local.
So yeah, something to note, guys. When you're choosing a wine to go with a particular meal, not all wines go with everything.
Not at all.
Not all drinks go with everything. But I think this should be an experiment for another day. I think that might be good. We should do like a wine experiment, or even just a drink experiment in general. You could do it with wine. You could do it with soda.
There are some actual dessert
beers.
There are some actual dessert wines out there that are for, like ice wine. Ice wine is a dessert wine.
Oh, ice wine. Ice wine is so nice.
I did get my first paycheck. We're supposed to get some.
Work it out.
Yeah, no, it's a shame the wine doesn't pair well with it, but other than that,
and once it calms down and you the taste of the dessert kind of subsiding, it's good wine. So.
Mm-hmm.
Salute.
All right. Well, that is the end of this round of Battle Onion. Coming up next will be Jimuzu.
Friday night.
So if any of you want to tune in for that, Friday night, probably somewhere around
10 Pacific.
10 Pacific, yeah. About 10 Pacific. We should be starting somewhere around there. So we hope to see you here.
Salute.
Salute.